Quiet now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And good morning to all. Oh, yes, to Tom and Nick and JR, welcome. Love everybody who manages to get in before we actually get started. Eric, Joanne, yeah. Lita and Jan and Joe and Immortal Tiger and Joanne Blickensdorfer gave us a sick donation last week. I'm still so grateful. Now, many of you did, actually. It was really a great week for us. David Graves, good morning. JR, good morning to all the boys and girls. Good morning. Yeah. We've got such a cool show for you today. Guys, this is really going to be great. I'm excited about it. Want to say good morning to Kim.
Morning.
Good, and Kim is back. Welcome back, Kim.
Hi.
Kim was on the road. She picked up a cold, I guess, on the road.
Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you know what? It's not though. It's
What
not
is
a
it?
man. It's not a man cold.
Okay.
Kim, how are you?
Yes, it means you won't complain about it as much. Is that the point?
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
John Daly, the fabulous
Producer, John Daly.
Jeez, he's still very, very hot. All right. And, of course, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Yeah. I will tell you quickly, I've got a couple of major announcements that I will share with you. One of which is related to the fact that we'll have Mark's Murder Mystery Monday at the bottom of the hour. This is a mystery. And today, Courtney is here to feature the mystery associated with the murders that are being called the Chippendale murders. I think it's really just one murder, but the Chippendales organization is very much involved. And it is now a show on Hulu, I guess. It's a multi-episode Hulu show, which is why Courtney wanted to do it. She felt it's sort of in the zeitgeist, you know, so we'll be doing that bottom of the hour. In the next hour, Gary DIETRICH, top of the hour, right after Kim's news. We'll talk politics. We'll talk the Georgia runoff. We'll talk about the January 6th committee.
Gary's at 11:30.
Oh, God.
I know you like to be interrupted, so I thought I'd interrupt.
I am. Okay. Gary's at 11:30. I'm sorry about that.
I stand corrected.
Yes. Okay. But at 11 then, well, first of all, to finish Gary, we'll have all those things I mentioned. He'll be at 11:30 after Kim's news. At 11 after Kim's news will be the guy who brought you the Disney movie Frozen. That's right. Yeah. Lino DiSalvo is going to join us. And Lino ran Disney Animation for years. And under his tutelage, and tutelage, I suppose, is a dang word, Frozen and Tangled and all these great Disney franchises were born. So he will join us. He's got a new movie. We can all see it. It's on CBS this week. And so Lino will be here top of the next hour. In a moment, a special guest. But first, I have a very special announcement. I promised you there was a big merch drop coming at midnight. And indeed, it did drop. And it is out there. But that's not the only major announcement. This is a major Mark Thompson Show announcement.
A major announcement from the Mark Thompson Show.
Yes, thank you.
A major
Yeah,
announcement.
thank you. Yes, right. No one's accused us ever of being subtle. But yeah, we're not really. We don't sneak in with announcements. We bring them in big, you know.
Was that a belch at the end of that or what?
It did sound belchy. Let me hear it again.
A major announcement from the Mark Thompson
Yeah.
Show. A major announcement.
Right here. I don't know what that is.
Like a
Maybe it's
tiger?
I see it's
Yeah,
a car
I
with a
think-
bad
yeah.
belt.
I think it's a
Exhaust?
growl.
Yeah.
You think? What did you think it is, John?
It's like a growl, like a tiger or,
Yeah, like
or
a
an
growl,
alligator. It's like a growling animal noise.
Well, I'm delighted to tell you that the merch people have sent me this special announcement. To celebrate our first Cyber Monday, we want you to smash the apply button after entering the discount code, and here it is, it's important, a discount code, Iron Rod. That is the discount code at checkout. Save 15% on all Mark merch with this code, and it's for a limited time only. They told me it might only last 48 hours. Remind your friends and family how much you love the Mark Thompson Show by getting them all gifts from Get Mark Merch. Thank you for your support this year. Happy holidays, the team at Get Mark Merch. Let's quickly go to the Get Mark Merch site, and you'll see some of the magical items that have dropped overnight.
How much is the discount? That's what I want to know.
It says 15%.
Oh.
Yeah, it says save 15% on all Mark merch with this code for a limited time only. So the KGO and Exile t-shirt is still there, which means there must be a few left. The Mark Brass Touch Tool.
What the hell's that? What do you do with the touch tool?
Oh, my God.
What?
All right. Here it is.
Who designed this website?
John, will you read the touch tool description,
What's
please?
even happening?
Kim, it's the perfect stocking stuffer for any fan of the show. You can open doors, push buttons, pull objects with this engraved brass touch tool. It's designed to help you avoid touching commonly used surfaces and limit the spread of germs.
Maybe somebody wouldn't have a cold right now if you had a touch tool.
Oh,
Did you ever
I
think
see
of that?
what's happening. I see
Yes.
what's happening.
All right.
It's like
There
the
it is.
princess tool where you don't really
There
have
is a look. There is a
touch
video
things
of it
the
actually
commoners
in
have
use.
touched.
Now, I
Look
think
at
that
that.
is a man's hand.
Yeah, that's a man's hand from the
Based on the fingernails there.
from the Get Mark merch team. All right, what else is there though? This is that's a little stocking stuffer item.
Wow.
There are also the hats. Look at that. There's a
Oh, it's a
Christmas
Christmas-
ornament. I mean, that is
God.
nothing says the holidays.
I can hang you on my tree.
Yeah, it's a ceramic Christmas ornament. I think there are two styles, and I say that because I see that there are two styles there indicated. There's the star, and then there's also a globe you can see, like a round,
Oh,
yeah,
like it,
with the coffee mug. So there is that. Again, enter the discount code Iron Rod at checkout for 15% off. So you'll
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Did
What else
Courtney
is there,
design
John?
that?
Scroll
That's
down it.
awesome. I
No,
like
We
this
have
is
the
the-
beanie. Don't forget the beanie there.
Oh, the beanie is very cool. Now the beanie was
That's by request. Yeah.
That's by request. Kim is right. And you asked for it, you got it. That's the beanie.
There was a great clamoring for the beanie.
There was a clamoring. Yes,
Kim, how are you?
There you go.
And I should
The,
be dinged. I should get a full-on ding.
Oh, for clamoring? Okay, I think you're right.
Ding me, baby.
The Mark Thompson Show mug note cube. Wow.
What?
That is really a cool. Can you click on that, John? What is the Mark Thompson Show mug note cube? Oh, that's pretty cool. I got to say. I think I may get one of those. I've told you, I got to buy this stuff also. They don't give me anything. But that's very, very cool. Okay. And then there are the Mark Thompson Show poker cards, and there's a bunch of other stuff on there. We don't have time to get into it right now. I've got a special guest waiting, but there's a lot of a throw
stickers.
pillow. Are you kidding?
Oh, I could have you on my couch.
A throw pillow? Oh, a pom-pom beanie? Oh,
What?
my gosh. That is great.
Oh, that's cute.
This is terrific. Yeah. Well,
That's
I'm
a
excited
darling.
about this. Yeah. Well, let's
So
get
is the
on.
first one a
not
man?
fake.
Is that
That's
a man beanie, and that one's a woman beanie, or are these unisex?
I think they're unisex, John. I don't think there is that anymore. That's very 1995 of you to ask that question. So I hope you'll go to the site. I hope you'll spend wisely, but also apply the discount code for 15% off. The discount code at getmarkmerch.com is Iron Rod. Meantime, you should smash that like button like a boss.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Slam those likes for this guy. He is the commissioner of sports on this show. Can't believe he's available on this Monday to talk Niners. Yeah, come on. Oh, I'm excited.
Albert, thank you.
He is the fresh-faced young man who used to produce this show. He is Albert, everybody, the commissioner. What's up, commish? How you? Oh, we can't hear the commish. This is very bad.
Oh, no.
I need every available person on the commish audio
What up,
problem.
Albert?
Oh, wow.
Well, this gives you a moment to thank Steve Moskowitz for being our
He
exclusive.
looks
Steve
good,
Moskowitz
though.
is our sponsor, and thank Steve Moskowitz for being our elite sponsor. Steve's been in business for over 30 years with tax issues, with tax planning. He'll join us in a bit, and we'll talk more. You can reach him at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL. You can see it there, bottom part of your screen. Also, you can reach him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Albert, can we hear you now? Oh, it doesn't seem so. So what are you muted, Albert, or not? You're not muted here. So, no, that's really wild. Huh.
Which is weird because we heard him a few minutes ago.
No, this is so on brand for us, for you to have a big intro like that and then not be able to be heard. It's very, very on brand for us. This is really cool.
You think that's books behind him, but really, that's his collection of K-pop music.
Yeah, maybe it's, this is, well, Albert, rejoin. Try rejoining us. I'm sadly, I'm not going to play you the intro again, Albert. I mean, that was it. It was a big... Yeah.
You only got one.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, so do you blame me or do you blame Albert? This is kind of tricky.
This is tricky. I've got a producer and a former producer on the line.
Yeah, who do you blame? Who do you blame?
I don't know. So many choices. Albert, try speaking.
Hello,
now.
can you hear me?
I love it. Yeah.
How many producers does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Yeah.
That's the biggest question here.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Albert, talk to me. We'll start with the Niners, and I want to go to World Cup so you can give us something so we can all sound educated on World Cup, because I know you actually really do watch that. Niners won an ugly game, right?
It was ugly offensively. If you look at the stats, if you like to open the newspaper, you like to look at the stats, check out what happened. It was ugly. Like, it was not great, but that 0 is very impressive. The defense for the 4th straight game held a team to 0 points in the second half, which is where we tend to lose games in the second half. So 4 straight games, I think we're trending in the right direction. We got all the weapons now, and we proved that we don't need all the weapons to win the games.
Yeah, first shutout at Levi Stadium since 2016, I saw. And when you say we've proven that we don't need all the weapons to win the games, what is that a reference to?
Well, like, we have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. We have all these weapons, and it's frustrating sometimes watching Jimmy miss these throws, but we don't need it. It's all extra. I guess it's all in Kyle's plan for Jimmy. Have all these weapons, but also have a really good defense that could cover up for some of the mishaps.
What is the situation, Commissioner, with the NFC and where our beloved Niners sit in the quest for the playoffs?
Yeah, so our pals, our former neighbors, the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, actually
they
won
pulled
a close
out a game. Man, that was unreal yesterday.
They finally won a close game. They've probably lost every close game they've been in all season. That team seems like they're in turmoil, but they beat the Seahawks, and now the Niners are in sole possession of first place. And I have it here. Our point differential, speaking of like aggregate, this is NFL aggregate for you World Cup fans.
Yeah.
We're plus 76. So we're stopping teams from scoring, and we're also scoring a lot more than what we're allowing. So that's it's a good stat.
So handicap the Niners moving forward. You'd consider them one of the top 4 franchises headed for the playoffs, top 5. Where do you put them?
I'd say they're one of the real contenders. You have teams like the Vikings and probably the New York Giants, who have good records on paper, but they don't actually feel like contenders. But when the Niners are on, like the game against the Cardinals was suffocating. We bullied them. I think after that game, it really proved that we have the style to go deep in the playoffs. We could just pound the rock, as I used to say.
Yeah, is that where that came from? You started that?
I coined that term on the Mark Thompson show.
Wow. David Odell says the 49ers need to get the offensive line healthy.
They do, offensive line, and also we're missing some pieces on the defense. So we allowed 0 points, but also we happen to win with the missing points on defense. But we have guys like Aaron Banks. He hasn't allowed a sack all season, and this is his first full year as a starter. So I think we still have good pieces on the offensive line.
Now I want to ask you about World Cup. Tell us about this aggregate thing you're talking about, and the USA and Iran. I guess that's a one and done type situation. But just give me the there are points awarded even for draws, obviously, because there are a lot of ties in soccer.
Yeah, so if there's a draw and you happen to score a couple goals, as long as you have a good goal differential, if you have the same record as a team in your group, whoever has the most goals basically moves on. So for the United States, they had a draw against the UK, right? So we just need to beat Iran and we're in. It's simple as that. If we win, we can't take a draw or a loss. We need to win to move on.
What does in mean when you say we're in? Now we're in the final. Is that the Sweet 16? What give me some.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the group stages, and after the group stage, 2 teams in each group will move on to the actual tournament. So it's looking like us and the UK will be making it in our group because yeah, it's our group. There's usually 2 favorites. That's why Argentina losing early in their group was such a big deal. And then I did watch their game against Mexico. Very boring game. That was like this is why we like the other football that was played yesterday here.
Now,
here
when you say it's very boring, and then we will wrap up. We're talking to the commissioner of sports on this show, fresh-faced former producer Albert. When you say it's very boring, what do you mean by that? Because you're a soccer fan. I can tell you what I mean. I'm looking at it, and unless I'm really into the teams playing, it all looks kind of slow to me. But that's because I don't see a lot of the stuff that you probably see when you watch it.
Yeah, so there's stylistic choices. Mexico had a setup on the field that was more counterattack, so they just kind of allowed Argentina to just have possession, but then they'll quickly strike after. Then Argentina's historically just very conservative as a team. Like, they got the lead when Messi scored, and you could literally feel the relief off his shoulders and the rest of the team. They just park the bus. They get the lead, and then they just kind of kick around. CYO youth basketball. There's no shot clock. You could just literally dribble out the clock if you have the lead, if you wanted to.
I have one thought. I'm just spitballing here. I know you're connected to this world of soccer, or football. How about for 5 minutes? And this is a kind of a big idea, okay? For 5 minutes, you let them use their hands. What do you think of that? No?
I love that. I love the chaos. It would break the sport.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It might work. It might. In my league, I'll have a rebel league. For 5 minutes, there's a clock. It goes boom, and then you go 5, and then 4:59, etc.
Yeah, and they could run it into they could actually run it into the goal.
Thank you.
They could forward pass. And
Now we're writing. I love this. Albert, much to do. We'd love to check in with you regularly as we can through the season. And then also before Christmas, definitely another visit, and I want you to update the K-pop landscape for us. Will you please?
Of course, yeah. And everybody, you could save 15% on Mark's site. 15% in only 15 minutes, but it's not branded like that. I just said that personally. That came from me. But Iron Rod, okay, is your discount.
Iron Rod is the
Smash it with your iron rod.
At getmarkmerch.com. Iron Rod in honor of Albert's appearance and also for the holidays. It's our big Cyber Monday discount. Go to getmarkmerch.com. Hey, Albert, we love you. Thank you for coming by, pal.
Yep, love you guys.
All right. Well, that was really, really cool to talk to him again. I'm getting a lot of good feedback on the Get Mark merch site. It's getmarkmerch.com. Check it out. And again, if you do purchase anything for Cyber Monday, it's really been discounted. 15% off at checkout with the discount code IronRod. Meantime, do smash the like button like a boss. Hit me with a like. If you're watching in replay, you can still get that discount code. Iron Rod still works for you also. It'll be in place all of Cyber Monday at minimum.
And there's a poll running in the chat room. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. What is the poll? Is that a major announcement also, John? Doesn't really qualify as a major announcement, I don't think.
Well, for some people, I think so.
Oh. Well, you think the major announcement production element should be used in this case? What do you think? You're the producer.
I think we should stall long enough for you to find it.
I found it.
Major announcement from the Mark Thompson Show.
Not a problem. It'll always be or maybe at my fingertips always. Well, what is the major announcement now, John?
So the ongoing poll in the YouTube chat is, what should we do with the Mark Thompson Show banner? Keep it?
Yes. No. I hate it. It doesn't work. It's not that when you walk into this area, it looks good, but on camera it doesn't work, and I'm blocking it. And so what? Sorry, what are the options?
You don't want keep it to win, so I'm sure the audience will make sure it does. So the options are keep it, move it off a little off camera, auction it off the show, or bury it in a quiet ceremony.
Oh, I love that.
And true to form, keep it is leading at 46%.
Are you kidding me?
209
People want to
votes.
keep this?
Right. Move it off camera is at 20%. Auction it off is at 23%, and bury it is 11%.
Where would the quiet burial take place?
Well, that's a good question, Kim.
Maybe you need to sell it, Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, under the Hollywood sign. What are we talking? What are we doing here?
I mean, amidst the other bodies that are buried under the Hollywood sign. Yeah.
Yeah, but make sure you hang it on the sign for a while until we get TV coverage.
I don't know where you'd bury it, but this is a very good question. In any case, I do think that the getting rid of it would be. I'd like to move it over. I'd like to auction it off if we can, but keeping it, I guess, is leading. So where do people vote? It's in YouTube, right?
It's in the YouTube chat. It's now leading at 48%. So it's going
okay. It's in the YouTube chat. John will keep us posted on that. We may run that for a couple of days, to see, just to give people a chance in the replay to weigh in on it, and also tomorrow to weigh in on it.
Long enough that you get the result you want.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Thank you. You read my mind on that.
Yeah.
There was there are a lot of things going on. I mentioned the politics. We'll get to that next hour with Gary DIETRICH, and there was a major volcanic eruption, the first eruption since 1984 on the Big Island of Hawaii. I'll tell you about that next. But I think that's pretty big news. The other big news is a huge heist in San Francisco. Yeah. So both those stories still to come.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Right now, put it together for our guy. He is our elite and exclusive sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. Hi, Steve. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. And still another one of my clients told me how much he enjoys your show. So I just wanted to pass that along.
That is very cool. Thank you, sir. And, I should say this. Steve's been helpful in sort of giving us suggestions as to reach a lot of the KGO audience that doesn't know we're here. I got an email at the old KGO, my old KGO address, the email address, saying that they really missed the show and, keep us posted on what you're doing. So they weren't even aware of where we were because we didn't get a chance to announce where we were. So a lot of those people are kicking around out there, and Steve has ideas and his people have ideas as to how to reach some of them. So that's really, really cool. But I love hearing that, we're evolving this show, and as we evolve, it's great to get some good feedback. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Tell me about this time, the holidays and the end of the year. Tax considerations are serious. I mean, you have to essentially plan. There's a lot of giving that you can do for write-off purposes, or just when you do giving, you have to make sure that you can get that write-off if that's something that you want or you're eligible for. It seems to me as the end of the year, there's sort of a squeeze, and if you don't handle things correctly, you get squeezed instead of doing the squeezing.
That's right. And there's two big things that we want to concentrate on. One is tax planning. Now, there's end of the year tax planning where we're trying to get some things in by December 31st. We can start with that, although what we really like to do is year-round tax planning, because a tax return should only be a summarization of a year's worth of tax planning. And that's so vitally important. And, Mark, here it is. The end of this week is going to be December. That's it. There's a lot of things we have to do, not everything, but a lot of things we have to do by December 31st. Or you start crying in March when you're saying, oh, I'm paying too much in taxes. Well, big boys don't pay. And I say, well, big boys do this stuff year round. So one is tax planning. And the other one is ERC that we talk about, because there's still so many people that either are unaware of it or don't believe it, or worse yet, they've been told they don't qualify. So you say, well, how could that happen? There's two ways to qualify for ERC, and this is where the government will give you up to $26,000 for every employee you had in 2020 and 2021 that qualifies. Two tests. You only need to pass one of them. One's the easy test. Did your gross revenue drop by a certain amount? If that's the case, you're in. And we start there too. But a lot of firms, a lot of CPAs stop there and say, well, if the gross revenue didn't go down enough, no ERC for you, buy next. And there's a second way, but it takes a lot more time and effort. It's a facts and circumstances test. We're willing to sit down with you, go over your facts and circumstances. And sometimes I even give clients homework where I say, look, what you've given me isn't enough. I need to know A, B, and C. Go and get it for me, and then we'll talk a second time. But if you qualify, you may be entitled to so much money. And I realize not everybody qualifies and people's facts, circumstances are different. But Mark, we've had individual clients that have gotten millions of dollars. Imagine that one person getting millions of dollars from ERC. And we have a ton of them getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's a lot of money. And other people, lesser amounts. So if you never heard of ERC, you don't know what it is, call us, we'll tell you about it. But if somebody said you don't qualify, come to us for the second opinion, because a lot of people are told they weren't under the easy test do qualify under the more complicated test. We're here for you, and also keep you away from the scammers that say everybody qualifies and they'll get you in big trouble. So the bottom line is you keep away from the ones that don't want to do the complicated test and keep away from the ones that are committing fraud.
Yeah, I mean, a lot went up overnight when ERC became a government program that people could take advantage of, but they go away overnight also. It's 888-TAX-DEAL to reach Steve, 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Steve Moskowitz can also be reached online, moskowitzllp.com, MOSKOWITZ, moskowitzllp.com. Steve, love seeing you. We'll talk next hour. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mark.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The first eruption since 1984 of this Mauna Loa volcano in Hawaii. It's on the Big Island. So far, it's been contained within the summit area. There are not threatening circumstances for the downslope communities. In other words, where the lava is flowing, right? It's the world's largest active volcano. It's erupted, as I say, for the first time nearly 4 decades. It was 11:30 last night, local time. And they're watching this quite closely. By the way, there were a lot of warnings about this because it was, and this is often the case as you're aware, it was preceded by a bunch of small earthquakes. So once that happens, that's typically, there's a corresponding then eruption. So they warned residents. They were advised to review preparedness, refer to civil defense information, and prepare to evacuate. So we're watching this. But again, they've had weeks of warning on this. So
we have a listener that lives in Hilo on the Big Island of Hawaii, Karen.
Sure.
She says on the chat that I have up for you that there's an ash warning on the east side of Hawaii Island, and flash flood warnings on all of the main Hawaiian islands today.
Wow. And the ash actually and the corresponding discharge is toxic, So that's a real thing,
I've got a Mauna Loa story really quick. My grandmother left us property on the southern tip of the Big Island. And my sister and I were really excited. Oh, we're going to inherit property in Hawaii, right? Who wouldn't be excited about that? Well, it turns out it's a lot that's in the direct path of the lava flow, the historical lava flow of Mauna Loa. So you can't, it's like there's like a risk factor out of the chart. It's like 1 to 9. It's like 8, 9 being the worst. You can't develop it. You can't insure it. We looked at it from Google, Earth, and it's basically, it looks like the surface of the moon if you like spray painted it black.
Oh my God.
So people have like Quonset huts.
Yeah,
people have like trailers. You could get electricity, but you can't get water, that kind of thing. There's no sewer.
It's if you wanted to set up a trailer there, is really what it is.
Right. So
it's something you could move in a hell of a hurry.
It took 10 years for the family to sell it. We finally sold it. So it was kind of my grandma's like last jab at us.
Well, good luck. Grandma wasn't crazy for the family.
Well, you're paying for like the roads. You have to pay every year for the road.
I have good
maintenance
news and bad news for you kids, right?
Yeah.
I'm leaving you something, but the bad news is it's all right.
And honestly, that was on brand for our grandma.
Yeah.
That's not fake. That's real.
All right. Well, when we come back, it's Mark's Murder Mystery Monday. Courtney lays out the Chippendale murders. Thank you so much. Those of you who've already left us super stickers and super chats. Really does help. Contributions these days, really the stuff that keeps the lights on. It's crazy. It's why we've added so much to the merch site. We've had this huge merch drop for Cyber Monday. There is a discount code, Iron Rod. Definitely use that at checkout. And again, getmarkmerch.com. If you're watching in replay, you can go to the Get Mark merch site in replay. That is to say, it's not only available to those watching live. It's available all day for Cyber Monday and maybe extended into tomorrow as well. So all of that's going on. Mark's Murder Mystery Monday. Next. Smash that like button like a boss. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Well, Mark's merch is about to be part of all this. Spending expected to hit a record on this Cyber Monday. According to Adobe Analytics, U.S. online shopping is projected to top $11.2 billion. That despite online retailers now starting to charge for returns or charge return fees. Texas Governor Greg Abbott sending all necessary resources to Houston to deal with a boil water notice. City officials issued the notice Sunday after a power outage that affected 3 water treatment plants. They expect to lift it tomorrow. No suspects still in the killings of 4 University of Idaho students. They were stabbed in an off-campus home November 13th. The university's president, though, is now saying in a statement the school is preparing remote learning options for the rest of the semester for students that may be uncomfortable returning to campus. A number of leading news outlets are calling on the United States government to drop the charges against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. An open letter from the New York Times, The Guardian, and others say the indictment of Assange threatens to undermine the freedom of the press. Assange was arrested in London in 2019 on a U.S. warrant and charged under the Espionage Act after publishing classified material. Twitter expected to launch its delayed verified service this week. New owner Elon Musk says there will be a gold check for companies, a gray-colored one for government accounts, and the existing blue check mark for individuals. Shoppers are on alert after another robbery near San Francisco's Union Square. This was a high-end camera shop hit Saturday afternoon near Bush and Grant Streets. Police say 4 people are seen on video getting out of a car. 1 walked inside with a gun. Another was seen holding a tool. They're accused of stealing nearly $180,000 worth of equipment in less than 3 minutes. And Jay Leno back on the stand-up comedy stage after suffering 2nd and 3rd degree burns in a garage fire. Leno was even poking fun at himself on the way to the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach on Sunday night. Leno performing in front of a packed house just 2 weeks after he was badly burned. And we did the cat story last week, so it's only fair now to do the dog story. There is a dog in California making history. It is a Chihuahua from Los Angeles, now considered the oldest in the world. How old is the dog? Mark?
What is the, give me any details about the dog? Any other details?
The dog is a Chihuahua. His name is Gino.
They live a long time.
Yeah.
His name is Gino. I wonder if there's anything I can derive from that.
Gino has now achieved the Guinness World Records.
The Guinness World Record. He's got to be all. I mean, if they live to, it'd be extraordinary. I think.
The standard dog age is like 15, right?
Yeah.
Did he work for Taco Bell at any time in his career?
No, not that Chihuahua. You'll kill Taco Bell.
What is the? I'll say 20.
Pretty good, John.
22.
Tony?
17.
Okay. John Daly, right on the money. Gino is 22 years old.
Wow. Look at
Yeah.
you, John Daly. Nice job.
Gino was born in 2000, adopted when the owner was a sophomore at the University of Colorado Boulder. And at the time, he said his roommates pitched in to help care for Gino. And now Gino's still kicking, and he's in Los Angeles. He's the Chihuahua, now the oldest dog in the world.
For
And
the
this
record,
was
that's the
pretty
first
cool.
time I've ever gotten an age correctly.
Well, very, very excited.
Pretty
We're all
good.
excited for you, John.
Thank you,
We're all
thank you.
excited for you. Yeah. Okay.
And you get nothing. And this report is sponsored by
In the rich tradition of the show, indeed.
You get
nothing. Right, okay.
tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. So if you need help with your taxes, and really, who doesn't? Steve's here to help you. 888-TAX-STEAL, online, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
It was obviously a mistake, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it.
You are high as a kite.
I'm ready for a new adventure.
I do hug and kiss people casually.
What he's got going here is a situation.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
No, no, no.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Do you know that?
Welcome to Mark's
Red Rum.
Murder
Red Rum.
Mystery
Red Rum.
Monday.
Just like we planned it. Great. She is the purveyor of mystery. She is the lovely Courtney. Courtney, great to have you with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes. Courtney, there was controversy about your segment last week. It had nothing to do with you.
I know. I feel terrible about it. Well, it's unfortunate that there's a lot that's going on in this world, and we, need to make a clear distinction between what this segment is. Right?
Yeah. It's this segment is about mystery, about, sadly, murder. It's like a kind of a Dateline thing. And so we've showcased the word mystery now in this segment so that it's Mark's Murder Mystery Monday. So
there you go.
Or something like that.
We're not celebrating murder.
No, most certainly not.
No.
And you have an abiding interest in a lot of different stories, and you look for those things that you feel would be of interest to the audience. What do you have for us today?
Well, today I have a story that is really well known, but has been talked about most recently because of a show that's come on to Hulu. And it's the story of the Chippendales murders.
Oh,
yes,
the Chippendales murders. All
yes. Right. And so the show debuted on Hulu on the 22nd.
Now, have you watched that show yet?
I have. I've watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
And I like it. I think it's well done, and I think the actors are well cast. So,
Well, tell us about the murders for those who are not going to watch the show, like myself, for example.
Okay. So the sources I used, I actually listened to this former FBI agent, and he interviewed the actual FBI agent that worked on the case, which was really fascinating. But it's 2.5 hours.
FBI agent interviewing FBI agent.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
And the FBI agent who found the murderer in this case. And so it's really interesting to hear the backstory, but it is very long. Also, Women's Health, New York Times, there's a bunch of articles seeing as this murder took place in 1987. So,
well, you're quite the academic to refer to your sources, but let's just get on with the story, if you could, please.
Okay.
All right.
So everybody knows, for the most part, the Chippendales is a touring dance troupe those male striptease performances. They actually had this very distinct bow tie collar and shirt cuffs, as I'm sure you're familiar with, Mark.
Yes, I love that.
Mhm.
Mark, that's how you got your start, right?
I did. I don't like to make a big deal out of it, but because I'm too busy making a big deal out of other stuff.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
But
And
I think I could rock the Chippendale. If there was like a middle-aged Chippendale, I think I would be able to rock. Anyway, go ahead, Courtney.
Middle age.
How dare you? How dare you?
I was going to let that go.
Okay, stop it.
Yeah.
So, yes, we know Chippendales, the bow tie, the cuffs. All right.
So the cuffs, that's all inspired actually by Hugh Hefner, the Playboy Bunnies, who was a big icon and someone that the founder of Chippendales really aspired to be. So it's this show that comes out, but it was founded originally by a gentleman named Shaman Steve Banerjee. He went by Steve. He moved to the U.S. from Mumbai and was working in gas stations and had aspirations of owning a nightclub. But he wanted something that was very classy, very sophisticated. And again, mostly
like
because...
the Playboy clubs at the time. Which had no, that's really true. In the
Yeah.
70s, that was a big deal, right?
He was really inspired by Hugh Hefner. And so he bought this space in West LA, and he started to have backgammon nights, which, by the way, actually sounds like a lot of fun to me, going to a nightclub and playing backgammon.
Sure.
But of course, that really didn't take off. And so he started to
Not
look
a lot
at...
of takers on backgammon night? Okay.
No. He did, sticking with that theme, though, he then moved into female mud wrestling, which I think is hard to make classy, I'll be honest. But he did do that for a little while. And the club really wasn't taking off. I should mention, because it's pretty funny, that he named the club Destiny 2 because he thought that people would think there was a Destiny 1, which would mean a lot of success. And so he names this Destiny 2 and has this club going. Now,
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I don't think it didn't work, did it?
It didn't.
No.
It didn't. But he's often referenced as like this genius businessman, kind of, but also marketer. And so it's just funny because some of the things that he did were somewhat unconventional.
But it was never called Chippendales? You're talking about Destiny 2 or
Destiny 2. That was the original club.
Okay.
So a gentleman named Paul Snyder walks into the club. Paul is probably most known for the unfortunate situation of murdering his wife, Dorothy Stratton.
The unfortunate situation?
Yeah, is that on his resume or something?
Hello, 911.
Yes.
Yeah, we have an unfortunate situation.
You may know me.
Dorothy Stratton, if you're watching on YouTube, is on the right, obviously, and that's Paul Snyder on the left. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it is a horrible situation. He was very jealous. He was, from what I have read, he was very insecure. He was a club promoter his whole life. But he felt very insecure compared to his partner and eventual wife, Dorothy Stratton, who became a Playboy Bunny, then became Playmate of the Year, and then started an acting career. And
With
actually,
Peter Bogdanovich, she
yes,
had a relationship. It was
exactly.
clear that those two were going to end up together, and it was a tragedy that, you know.
But as it relates to his contributions to Chippendales, he walks into the club, he meets Steve Banerjee at Destiny 2, and he's the one that suggested the idea of a male review, of a male strip club. And
wow, that's the guy who actually came up with the idea. So Banerjee, who had the backgammon thing and all of that, he took the advice of Snyder.
Yeah. So he takes the advice of Snyder, and so he starts this male review, and that's when they name the club Chippendales, and they name it Chippendales after an antiquities, a company in England that makes fine furniture. So they named Chippendales again in the era of like trying to keep it upscale.
You can kind of tell that he's the idea guy based on their outfits, right? Like one guy is the creative, one guy's the business.
That is true. Yeah. And so they have this strip club, and it is very much that. And so someone else comes into the picture, and his name is Nick DeNoia. And so Nick DeNoia eventually becomes a business partner of Steve and Chippendales. But Nick DeNoia is a choreographer. He's an Emmy Award-winning director and producer. And so he starts to explain to Steve that women need more than just the bodies, that they want storytelling, that they want costumes, that they want props. And so he starts to build out what feels more like a show. And that's really when Chippendales takes off. And so Nick DeNoia becomes a business partner in Los Angeles, and Nick pitches Steve on doing a club in New York.
Okay.
So he founds the club in New York. They expand the brand, but they decide to part ways. And so closer toward like the end of the 80s, they actually agree on the back of a napkin how to distribute the company. And so Steve continues to have control over the Chippendales business. And then Nick gets the rights for the Chippendales tour and the club in New York. And in the contract on this napkin is the word perpetuity. And from what I know, Steve Banerjee doesn't actually know what perpetuity means. So
it is a ding word, to be fair. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So he reflects back like, wow, I've just signed over the rights to the tour, forever.
So Steve, again, here, the guy with the coat and tie, he didn't know necessarily what perpetuity meant. Perpetuity sort of snuck in there.
Yeah, it snuck in there. And so
in a way it was put over on him.
He
signed away his rights to the tour money. And that's where all the big money was coming.
Yeah, he's supposed to split the profits with Nick, but he signed over everything to Nick. And I bring it up because I believe that that's where the first sort of beginnings of frustration, anger, and resentment become part of Steve's relationship with Nick, because he feels like he's been had.
Yeah,
exactly.
He has been had on some level. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So the touring takes off. So they tour all over the country, eventually all over the world, and it's doing very well. And Steve has actually had to claim bankruptcy for a variety of reasons. Yeah. He makes a mistake on a calendar print. The company, it's not doing as well in Los Angeles. And so Steve decides to hire a hitman to kill Nick DeNoia.
Wow.
His business partner.
Nick DeNoia is going to be offed by Steve.
Yes.
But Steve's hired somebody to do it.
Yes.
And we have a picture of that guy. Here it is right now.
So this is Ray Cohen.
He doesn't look like a Ray Cohen to me, if I can just say that. I don't mean to be profiling, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's got like 7 names, but his nickname is Ray. I'm just saving you and sparing you from the 7 names.
Okay.
And so Ray Cohen goes and he watches Nick DeNoia, where he lives, his place of work, his offices for Chippendales. And so on April 7th, 1987, Nick DeNoia Ray Cohen walks in. He goes up to the office. He asks where Nick DeNoia is. Someone points him into the office where Nick DeNoia is sitting. And he goes in and shoots him in the face and kills him.
Wow.
And he escapes, actually. For years, the killer's identity remains a mystery. So they do not know who killed Nick DeNoia.
Wow, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it remains a mystery.
So and even though people could describe him, I mean, he walked into the office. I mean, so,
The gentleman that was there that worked with Nick pointed to Nick's office, could have described him, but he went unidentified for years.
Okay.
Yeah. And in 1991, an informant calls the FBI in their Las Vegas office and says, I've just been hired by Ray Cohen to kill employees of Adonis, which is a rival male strip club and group formed by former Chippendales dancers. So suddenly this informant has identified Ray Cohen as participating in some kind of murder for hire around the Chippendales brand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew that this male strip thing was so competitive? They're killing each other over it. It's crazy.
I mean, I guess.
I don't know.
You just don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't. I didn't realize it was so. Anyway, go ahead.
And
so this, based on this anonymous tip that calls from the Las Vegas FBI office.
Yes.
Well,
it was an informant. His name was Strawberry. And Strawberry says, hey, Ray Cohen has just hired me to
Is it
go.
Colin or Cohen?
It's Cohen.
Okay. All right. You keep saying you keep using the two. All right. It's throwing me off. I'm trying to put my corkboard.
You have strawberries in the colon.
Yeah, strawberries in the colon. Thank you. That's
It's
Girl,
you just. It's Cologne. It's Cologne. Sorry. It's Ray Cologne.
It's Ray Cologne.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
all this time we said Ray Cohen. Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
It's because of So
Cologne. Okay.
Cologne. So
Well, let me go back.
Right. He looks
does
more like
look
a Ray
he could
Cologne.
be a Ray Cologne.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, Joe Box.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
Yeah, and I'm going to have strawberry handle some of this for you. Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
Oh, my God. How about...
Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy.
Yeah, he could do that. Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy, could take Ray Cologne to the location.
Oh, that's so funny.
Now, was Ray like a dancer? Was he in the outfit?
He wasn't. He was somebody that would do favors for Steve.
Like murdering
Banerjee.
people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey,
But
I need you to
actually-
do me a favor.
Look,
When-
I need some half and half and a head of lettuce. And let's see if you could just top off the tank, if you would, on your way. And if you could just, at the end of the day, if you could just murder this guy.
Yeah.
You add that to the list. It would be...
when Ray Cologne gets arrested by the FBI, he explains that he was pressured into killing Nick DeNoia by Steve Banerjee.
I see.
And that is in fact why he killed Steve Banerjee, was pressure from Steve. That
What he's
Steve
got
had
going
hired him.
here is a situation.
Steve had hired him to do other things like burn down rival clubs and kind of other little stuff that didn't work out.
Like murder
I'm used to
adjacent.
burning down.
Yeah.
I do the burn down thing.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm
really a
working my
murder
way
guy.
up, okay? I'm working my way up.
I might be able to refer you, but I really do not do the murder thing.
And so then because he had failed at these attempted arsons, that he got pressured into killing Nick DeNoia. So Ray spends some time in jail, and he eventually tells the FBI and admits to killing Nick DeNoia, but also that Steve Banerjee was the one who had organized everything.
And so did they go after Banerjee then? They arrest him and convict him?
Yes.
Wow.
So they arrest Steve Banerjee in 1993 for murder for hire, racketeering, and attempted arson. He's sentenced to 26 years on a plea bargain, but he ends up killing himself in his cell a year later.
Oh, so it has a happy ending then. With
Yes, it does.
With the, wow.
Yeah. So, but it is.
So Ray Cologne is still in prison?
I believe so.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating story. Actually, Steve Banerjee's son, I believe, is a male dancer. Has kept the family tradition going. Yeah.
Oh my!
I don't remember
God,
his name.
That is just insane.
And Chippendale's obviously continues as a brand. I think they're at Las Vegas. Yeah, they have a show.
Like
in
you
Las
met
Vegas.
him and you just don't remember his name.
I mean, a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a crazy night.
I can't remember anyone's name clearly.
Oh, well, Courtney, this has been a real walk down Chippendale's lane. And I had no idea that world is so filled with controversy, murder, competition. It does seem to be fair to the guy who, Steve, that, he was screwed out of a lot of profits. If Nick had been just a little fairer with the split, probably wouldn't be any acrimony at all, right? I mean,
I believe so.
I don't think you should murder somebody over it. I'm just saying, though, he did have a legitimate dispute. Acrimony.
Well, and he probably didn't imagine that it was going to make so much money initially, the touring.
Yeah.
I see.
I don't think he thought the touring would. Yeah. And then he fell on hard times. I mean, there's the example of Steve came from a printing family in Mumbai. And so he was printing these calendars. And
sure, the Chippendale calendar.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so he approved a print of the calendar without looking and making sure that all of the dates were correct. He was really looking at the photos. And so they printed a calendar with 31 days in February.
That seems like the kind of mistake
that was $1 million mistake.
Somebody would make. You know who I'm thinking of who might make that mistake? I'm thinking of...
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
Yeah, right. That's exactly what I was thinking about it.
But keep that in mind, Mark.
Your social media.
Right.
Keep that in mind in case you want to come out with a calendar.
With a calendar.
There's 28 days. And so that, among other things...
You got to go with it, though. Am I right? You go go, hey, our new calendar's out, and guess what? We've added a couple of days to February, especially if they're dudes who are scantily clad.
I mean, it could have actually been a great marketing
make it a
opportunity,
collectible.
but instead he had to pull them all back. It was, I think, nearly $1 million hit for him. And so he claimed bankruptcy, and that was in part fueled his rage and anger toward Nick and the situation with Nick DeNoia having been very profitable on his end of Chippendales.
This has been great. Thank you for this. Of course. It is one of those things that was mysterious, given the fact that, oddly, as you say, they had no leads in all of that for so long. It's really a remarkable thing.
They thought his name was Ray Cohen.
Well, that was the thing.
It
did throw them off.
Yeah.
To be fair, that name was introduced before the segment, and I went with it.
We could try ignoring it, sir.
I tried ignoring it. Then she's going backward, like she's under. And I say, wait a minute, is it this name or that name? All right.
Oh, that's too funny.
Courtney, great stuff. If you have anything for Courtney, you can send it to themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. I will push it on to her. themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com.
Or leave an angry comment in the YouTube comment.
Yes, it's follow through. How could you be so insensitive? They have families. We get it, and I'll say we agree. That's why we try to change the open so it's not we want to be both sensitive. We also want to tell the story. So in this case, that relates more to last week than this week.
Also, what happened is we were teasing that we were going to talk about something, and a lot of people actually asked if it would be what had just happened.
Which was
and so I wanted to address that it wasn't, and so it was by no means meant to combine the two. It was more to address some of the questions around if we would be covering that.
Right. That was last week. This week we just purely, I think, we're on a good. But as John says, we're on solid ground. But that doesn't mean we won't take a heat. Somehow it's always there. You're so lovely, Courtney. Thank you very much for stopping through. We look forward to next Monday. All right. Courtney, everybody.
Mark's Murder Mystery Monday on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Thompson.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Thompson, party of four.
Another fine offering. Thanks to everybody who participated in the chat and everybody who's just catching up and watching the replay. Very, very cool to have you here, too. Big second hour. The dude from Disney who brought you Frozen and all the other great Disney titles. He's got another great project that airs this week, I think. Doesn't it, John, on CBS? Isn't that right, John?
Sean, crickets.
I was politely muted during that segment.
Oh okay. It's this week. Lino's...
it's right after the classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, yeah, cool. It's going to be really cool.
9 o'clock on CBS.
Yeah, this is one, Kim, the whole family can settle into.
That is awesome.
There's a lot of stuff on this show that the whole family should not settle into. But
this is a good one.
But this is really great. Yeah.
Well, we're already singing Let It Go at the top of our lungs around our house. So,
this is called Reindeer in Here. And we have a sneak peek of it next hour. And Lino, the guy behind it.
In here?
Well, that's a good question. And we'll ask Lino, and maybe it's one of those things you'll have to see.
Is it in your heart? Okay.
Perhaps it's in your heart.
Sentimental.
Huge shout out for Meredith Dannenberg, who gave us a super sticker. Thank you, Meredith. Where's my Dan Ashley shout out? Do you have it? Big shout out for Dan Ashley?
Big shout out.
Thank you very much. Yeah. That's my shout out. Thank you, Meredith. So sweet of you and so generous of you. Jim Slayton, same thing. Regular viewer, regular donator, $4.99.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jim. Right on. You can leave us a super sticker. You can also leave us something in the super chat if you'd like. That's a way you can support us right here at this moment on YouTube as the show is live. If you're watching in replay, of course, there's an opportunity there. There's a heart with a $sign. If you want to leave us something in the replay, you can do that. There is a huge, and if you missed it, we'll just tell you quickly now, a huge merch drop for Cyber Monday. I mean, it's massive. all this cool stuff. I mean, there's throw pillows, and there is there are notepads, and there is I mean, it's
Touch
really cool.
tool. Yeah.
Yeah, the touch tool. Somebody get Kim the touch tool. She is crazy for it. She doesn't.
I think she already has a touch tool.
No, I think she does too. I think she
Along
does
with her
too.
whip.
Hello.
But I am. I'm anxious for you to go there because it's a Cyber Monday deal. And if you do go to getmarkmerch.com, use the promo code, the discount code Iron Rod at checkout. For Cyber Monday, it's 15% off, okay? All the money is to keep the show going, obviously, but it's Iron Rod for a discount code, all right? And get to getmarkmerch.com for more.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash the like button with your Iron Rod. Rock it. And we'll check out the guy who has given us so many great hits, and he has another terrific offering this week. It's tomorrow night on CBS. I mean, it's better than this week. It's tomorrow night. Good for the whole family. The dude from Disney, Lino DiSalvo, next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz, 888 Tax Deal. California joining 10 other states in urging Apple to protect reproductive health. Attorney General Rob Bonta said he's worried third-party apps will use a person's private information against them. He points out such search histories and location data could possibly be misused to target women trying to get an abortion. And as Mark earlier mentioned, the largest active volcano in the world is erupting. It is Mauna Loa, not Kilauea, on Hawaii's Big Island. It started erupting about 11:30 last night, and it is the first time this volcano has erupted in nearly 4 decades. So far, lava flows are contained to the summit. Cyber Monday in full swing, even at getmarkmerch.com. That on the heels of a record-setting Black Friday. The holiday shopping frenzy continues as many Thanksgiving travelers are still trying to get home. Major airlines reporting few disruptions after thousands of flight delays and cancellations yesterday. Jurors back at work after a 5-day break in a sedition case stemming from last year's Capitol riot. Stuart Rhodes is accused of leading the far-right right-wing militia called the Oath Keepers in an effort to stop the certification of the Electoral College after the 2020 presidential election. This would be the highest profile case thus far because of sedition charges. Gaslighting, Merriam-Webster's word of the year, the publishing company citing a rise in the word's usage over the last several years as misinformation and conspiracy theories pop up on the internet. Some teen football players in the South Bay are headed to the Pop Warner Super Bowl. The Los Gatos Campbell Longhorns are made up of 13 and 14-year-old boys and one of only 8 teams in the nation to compete. They are due to leave for Florida this week if they can raise enough money for travel expenses. The championship starts December 4th and lasts for a week. So congratulations to the boys from the Los Gatos Campbell Longhorn team.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah,
Nice.
this was sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, call Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL or find him online, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
Supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way.
The Mark Thompson Show.
What up? It's hour 2. Very excited. We'll bring a guest on in a moment. I'd like to just catch you up on a couple of things that are going on. It'll just take a quick second. There is a poll right now on this show. The poll is related to this banner behind me. This banner cost about $88, I think, is the price. And we thought it would be good to kind of mark the show, but as it turns out, I'm standing in front of it much of the time. And it reflects. You see how it has a reflection that is kind of annoying? So we are asking you, the audience, and there's a poll on YouTube right now. You can take that poll, I believe, both in the live chat and also in replay. And we'll keep the poll up for tomorrow, too, so we'll get a real good sampling. What should we do with this banner? And the choices are
keep it.
Keep it, right.
Move it a little off camera.
Move it a little off camera, which I'd like to do.
Auction
I'd like to
it
move
off
it
on the show.
Way off camera. Auction it off on the show.
Or bury it in a quiet ceremony.
Yeah, bury it in a quiet ceremony. And the overwhelmingly, people want to keep it. I can't believe it.
47%.
I'm going to ask our guest. He's a director and he's a creative and he's an animator and he's he's going to say get rid of it in a heartbeat. I promise you. But
I'm going to guess he's going to say shift it to the right and get a matte finish.
Oh,
better lighting. I mean, he comes from the world of animation, so he knows what he's talking about.
That's true.
I think he'll tell you to put it behind the shelf full of Mark merch.
We should do a poll on what Lino's going to tell us to do with the banner. That's what we should do. We should do a second poll. What will Lino say?
He's going to tell you to take the bag off, the bag and that shirt, like dangling off the wall.
It's too much.
The random garbage on the bottom right.
It's visually cluttered.
This guy's the director and executive producer of Reindeer in Here. It's airing after the holiday classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's tomorrow night at 9 on CBS. Yeah. Based on the award-winning Christmas book. Come on now for Lino DiSalvo, everybody. Yeah. Lino. What up, Lino?
Thanks for having me, man. I do have an opinion about that thing behind you.
The banner. Okay, please.
It may work if you scoot it screen right.
Okay, screen right. So this way.
And you put the little thought bubble part so it looks like it's actually next to your head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I need to then experiment with that. I need to get people in here to do that.
And maybe animate the 3 dots.
Yeah, that can't cost anything. Well, so Lino, just to reduce what he said, though, to our poll, he's kind of in the keep it category, but he's for moving it over. So he would, I think, he's not for junking it, you know? Am I the only one who wants to junk it? It's crazy.
It looks
like
like
you're the only one.
Anyway, Lino's got the real eye. So you're doing this, it's tomorrow night on CBS, Reindeer in Here. Now, this is based, I was saying, on the Christmas book. And tell me, for those who don't know, and you spent 17 years at Disney, and you Frozen, and all. I saw the other day, and then I'll get back to Reindeer in Here. I saw the other day, and I think I put it on Twitter and tagged you. Frozen translated in all of these different languages around the world, all the music, all of the dialogue. It's spectacular to see. I mean, literally all of these different countries embrace that project. That has to be a thrill for you.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it was lightning in the bottle. Because you work on everything I've ever worked on. You know, you put your heart and soul into everything. And, you know, as confident as you are, you're never really certain how, you know, what the audience is going to make of it. And it was incredible right from the beginning. Yeah, it's a special.
But you're saying you felt that incredible, the pedigree, the people involved. I mean, the music, all this stuff it was just so perfect. You felt that, but still, you always have that anxiety as a creator that you hope the world gets it. Sort of, is that what you mean?
Yeah, because making it. You know, there was one sequence in particular when we were done animating the Let It Go sequence. It was the first time in my career. So basically the way it works is you animate a sequence and then the whole crew watches the sequence cut together for the first time. Because normally the way it works is animation's done out of continuity. So animators are cast on shots completely out of order. So, and then the leadership of the movie, they're basically keeping, like a conductor of an orchestra, right? They're keeping things moving forward and the nuance and the subtext of the acting, making sure the emotional crescendo is in the right spot. So at the end of every sequence, the crew gets together and watches the work that was just done to catch any, potential acting mistakes or things that we may have missed. And it was the first time in my career where the sequence played and many of us couldn't speak because we were so emotional.
Wow.
And that's never happened to me before.
Well, Let It Go, and Kim, you know, with family and youngsters, I mean, it's infectious as a song, but you're right. There's an emotional note in there that is transcendent.
You were talking about the Let It Go in all the different languages, the kind of the special video that you can watch that shows all over the world the singers that were used to sing in all these different languages. We have watched that so many times that my kids can now sing the first opening bars of Let It Go in like, I don't even know how many languages. It's pretty great.
That's funny.
For me, you know, growing up in Long Island, and I was born in Brooklyn. This is the corny part of the show. I always dreamed of working on a Disney fairy tale. So to have the chance to work on this was very, I mean, listen, I think all artists love, you know, what they've worked on, but this was definitely something that, as an artist was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like I've got the chance to work on a great movie.
Lino, can I ask you what your favorite Disney cartoon or movie is of all time?
Oh man.
That's tough, huh?
There's so many. Listen, well, I also worked on Tangled. I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from the classics, Jungle Book is definitely a movie I watched a lot when I was younger. Lion King was amazing. And then one of my favorites, especially from an artistic standpoint, was 101 Dalmatians.
That's cool.
Yeah, these are projects you've had a hand in. It has to be just so exciting to see them come to life. I don't mean to define you in terms of Frozen, but it's just it really just blasts away in people's consciousness a lot of other projects. But then as you detail some of those that you've just gone through, you realize, wow, I mean, there's just been a lot of stuff that has exploded and has touched many lives. You know, those of us who are kids who watch a bunch of that stuff, it's just it's with you forever. The songs are with you. The story is with you, you know?
Yeah, and that's every animator's dream, is that you work on something that is going to outlive you, and the message in it is honest. Yeah, man, it's awesome. Yeah, I can speak about Frozen for hours, but we're not here for that.
No, I want to talk about, in fact, I want to, before we get into Reindeer in here as something we could talk about, I want to run the trailer. Can we run that, John? I think it just runs about a minute or so. Here we go. Reindeer in here tomorrow night on CBS. Check it out.
I wish I could make my mark on Christmas.
But your inventions never turn out how you want them to.
Hit me with your best shot. The portable Christmas tree. I actually thought that went well.
Ho, ho, ho. In the tradition of your favorite holiday specials.
Blizzard the reindeer, aren't you the one that crashed into the toy factory?
His mismatched antlers, they cause him to crash.
A lot. Excuse me, Donner. I'm in a big rush. Huge fan, by the way.
CBS invites you to bring your whole family together.
There it is.
For a new holiday classic.
This snow globe allows me to fulfill wishes that each child will remember forever.
I'll take that. Push that snow globe back!
Who the Scrooge is that?
Oh, I'm in deep cocoa.
November 29th.
Theo! Santa's snow globe! It landed somewhere in your town, and now I need to find it.
I'm in.
Joy to the world!
Based on the best-selling book.
It's never too late for a Christmas miracle.
Ho, ho, ho. Comes the adventure.
The thing that makes each of us different also makes us amazing.
You'll love forever.
Still trying to stick the landing.
Reindeer in Here, premiering November 29th on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
Oh, come on, everybody. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
You know, we have these new Christmas specials like Prep and Landing and Reindeer in Here. And you know that the kids that are up right now, that's going to be their Frosty the Snowman. You know, this is the new generation's Christmas movies that are specials that are going to be, you know, around a long time. That's really cool.
Yeah, really cool.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's funny. People are commenting on the cast. You have it's just wow.
Henry Winkler
It's a real
was in
wow
there, yeah.
cast.
Oh man, Henry Winkler. I mean, everyone knows he's awesome. Henry Winkler. So he plays Smiley, which is Santa's right-hand man, and he's the head of holiday operations. He's nicknamed the Ho-Ho. And Henry Winkler came in and killed it from the beginning. He had a take and was a pleasure to work with. Oh man, so good.
Yeah, he's coming to his own little renaissance here, and with the HBO show Barry, and now this as a voiceover actor. By the way, I hear the promo, and all I can think of is I could do that. The promo, ho ho ho, tomorrow night. I mean, do I get that's not your department? That's why I can complain to you about it. You don't handle the promotion for it. But
Mark, I promise you, on this show here and now,
mm-hmm.
I'm casting you. I've got a spot for you in this thing I'm developing right now.
Okay, all right.
Oh, sweet.
Look, I provisionally applaud that. Yeah, but I'm waiting.
Can we get a name like Ho-Ho? Promo?
I'd like a name like Ho-Ho, yeah. But this is terrific. So the style of it, let me ask you a question. Kind of, this is a little, maybe a little wonky, but I also think there are probably people who might be curious about this too. I asked this as a civilian. The style of animation, there's so many different styles. Like the Lion King looks different than like what we've just seen. And, Toy Story looks different, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So how do you decide on what style of animation should be part of this project? Where are those decisions made and how are they made?
Yeah, so just like in Tangled and Frozen, I think the best animated movies, the actual storytelling helps dictate what the movie should look like, right? So you take all your themes and what the protagonist is struggling with, what time period we're dealing with, and then let that basically dictate. So for instance, for Reindeer in Here, it's a really classic story. So I really wanted to pay homage to those Rankin Bass specials from the 60s, the Rudolph that we're actually coming after, and the Frosty and the Little Drummer Boy, and then take that inspiration of the stop motion and then juxtapose that with that painterly illustration feel of the storybook. So when you watch the movie Tuesday night, you'll notice that the characters have these dry brush strokes on them. And it's on purpose. It's to show the hand of the artist, right? Because those really, the stuff, the really charming stuff from the 60s and 70s, the imperfections are what made that so darn appealing. And I wanted to take that and just, and honor the hand craftsmanship of the show.
That's fascinating in a way. So it's both you honoring, and do you think also in some way as people watch it, it's evocative of some of those, maybe even subconsciously?
Yeah. It's CG animation. So we're using the very latest technology, but sometimes you can use new tech and things just get blah and bland and right. So it's almost sometimes you're fighting the computer to keep the handcrafted quality. I mean, I became an animator because of hand-drawn animation. So that's a huge part of my workflow and process. And I'm really, really proud of the quality of the animation in it.
I'm excited to see it. It's tomorrow night on CBS, 9:00. It's called Reindeer in Here. I mean, it's a cool block because it's following the classic Rudolph, right? So so you've got Rudolph and then Reindeer in here. You've sort of got the past and the present.
Yeah, no
put
pressure.
together.
No pressure.
I'm so fascinated by what you just said about the fight between perfection and humanity. I think that's super cool. And I think it shows that we're always going to need humans behind things to kind of bring that, what we love back into it.
Yeah, because what the computer wants to do is the computer does shiny, plasticky. The computer basically wants to give you straight lines, and you're constantly trying to make curved lines. And a lot of us work now on the computer, but with a stylus, and like on an iPad Pro or Cintiq, where we're still drawing, but it's on a screen. Yeah, I can geek out about this stuff forever.
That's great.
No, I love
there are
it.
people out there, who are with you, and there are other people out there who have got kids who are, aspiring animators, etc. I'd love to have you back. For now, Reindeer in here tomorrow night. I mean, what a cast! Jim Gaffigan, Henry Winkler. I mean, it's just, you saw the list. It's going to be pretty terrific. And it's tomorrow night, 9:00 on CBS. Lino, I love you personally, but I'm so excited for you for this project. And
Thanks, Mark.
Come visit us again, pal. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
We're
Lino
watching
DiSalvo,
it.
everybody. Yeah, some good stuff.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This guy is real life. He is not an animator's conception. No, he's Steve Moskowitz, everyone. Steve, great to have you here in the second hour. First hour, we're talking sort of about planning, and we even touched on ERC and sort of how the end of the year creates its own urgency about tax matters,
It does. And I always talk about we want to prevent March Madness, not the college basketball, but around March, everybody gets mad because they say, hey, how could I possibly owe so much taxes? Look at these giant corporations. They make billions. They don't pay taxes. What's the secret? I'll tell you the secret now. They have an army of people like me, and they do this all year round. The head of Apple admitted that he was amazed how much time he spends with the company's tax attorneys working on Apple's taxes. That's why Apple pays less than mom and pop on the corner. We want to do, and that's why I became a tax attorney. This is what I want to do for the clients. This is my number one thing I want to do is save you taxes, along with getting you money from the ERC, because the government is paying up to $26,000 for every employee you had in 2020 and 2021 as a reward for keeping employing them during COVID. And there's two different ways to qualify. One way is a certain drop in gross revenue. That's easy, and that's where we start too. But a lot of CPAs, a lot of firms are saying, well, if you didn't have the required drop in gross revenue, no ERC for you, goodbye, next. And we say, well, wait a minute, there's a second way. Either way will do. But the second way is a lot more work. We have to sit down, we have to figure it out. We're willing to go that extra mile for you. We're willing to work with you. And a lot of times I have to say to clients, thanks for the information, but that's not enough to make a decision either way. So I give them some homework, and then we have a second meeting, and we decide if you qualify. And if you do, let's get every dollar to which you're legally entitled, because an awful lot of people are leaving an awful lot of money on the table because they failed the easy test and nobody told them about the other test. On the other hand, you want to avoid, like the plague, the scammers. Everybody qualifies that are going to disappear when the IRS has a few questions. We've been practicing tax law for over 30 years. We're here for you. We want to get you every dollar to which you're legally entitled. And all you have to do is contact us.
Well, Steve, the number, we've said it before, and it's on the bottom of the screen, 888-TAX-DEAL. And for all those reasons and more, you should touch base with Steve Moskowitz. As a sole proprietor, as a small business person, 888-TAX-DEAL. But even as an individual who's just trying to make a plan moving forward, 888-TAX-DEAL. You can also reach Steve online, MoskowitzLLP.com. So Moskowitz is Moskowitz, LLP is LLP. Put it together, you've got MoskowitzLLP.com. Steve, thanks so much, and thanks for being our elite and exclusive sponsor on this show. Really, you keep the lights on, my friend, and we so appreciate getting the word out on your behalf, all the differences that you make in people's lives as a client. So thanks a lot.
My pleasure, Mark. Thanks so much.
Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Yeah. He's the real deal. You know that.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
There is so much going on today, and I'll just review it quickly. We have a major merch drop that occurred at midnight, and the merch site is exploding. A lot of really cool new stuff. I mean, there's everything from these pads, and tomorrow we'll show you it again. We showed it to you at the beginning of the show, and you should go back and see it. GetMarkMerch.com is where you find it. The discount code is Iron Rod, so you've got to put Iron Rod in at checkout to get that 15% discount on Cyber Monday. Iron Rod is your discount code. And there's a lot of stocking stuffer stuff, so maybe you don't want a t-shirt, but you wanted the long sleeve tees. There are now long sleeve tees. You wanted the beanies? There are now beanies. You wanted beanies with a pom-pom? There are beanies with a pom-pom.
Yeah.
You wanted playing cards? There are playing cards. You wanted the notepads? There are notepads. It's crazy.
You're going to need a new mic.
You wanted a new mic?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, it's and meantime, smash the like button.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Smash the like button. Give us a like whether you're watching in replay or whether you're watching live. That lets us benefit from that in the algorithmic setup that is Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
All right. I don't know what happened to Yes, you can, but I can give you a pull up your pants.
Mm-hmm.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
To me, that's as good as a Yes, you can sometimes. So the other thing I wanted to tell you is that behind me, there is a banner. And as you heard us discussing it with Lino DiSalvo, who is the executive producer of this fabulous CBS show tomorrow night, Reindeer in Here.
Boy, is he cool.
He is the coolest dude and so smart. And, you know, again, while he was running animation at Disney, they did Frozen, they did Tangled. I mean, these are huge, huge projects, obviously, from an animator's perspective. Amazing. Anyway.
I love that guy. Can we have him back on?
Definitely. I think he'd visit for sure.
So
and
all those years and he didn't
yeah.
get you any gigs.
No, I know. It really, he did the
Rude.
Dalmatians movie, Reign of Fire, Chicken Little he did. Nothing in all of that, Lino. It's funny. Anyway, I don't live in the bitterness,
You could do like a really bitter, character.
Yeah. Right. I could do an angry, bitter, self-loathing character. I think that's very much on brand for me.
Like a character who doesn't get like the gig.
Yeah, that's right. I think that is...
that's not fake. That's
right.
real.
Well, there is that. It's not fake. It's real. But, most people watch football and they enjoy and then they kind of turn down the sound during the commercials. I hear all the commercials and all of the stuff I've read for and I didn't get. So the other thing is related to the banner, and it is a poll on YouTube. What should we do with this banner? You can see I stand in front of it right now. It doesn't make any sense. Sure, I can move around a little bit and you can see more of it. But the reality is, based on where I stand, it just doesn't really seem to work. I'd like to get rid of it completely and auction it off. That's where I sit. But we've given you that as a choice. And keeping it, here's what we have. What should we do with the Mark Thompson Show banner? Keep it, move it a little off camera, auction it off on the show, bury it in a quiet ceremony. Bury it in a quiet ceremony has only 10%. Auction it off on the show has 24%. Move it a little off camera has 21%. Overwhelmingly, at 45%, keep it, which is astounding to me. But because all the people who email, and John Kim, you'll back me up on this because I forward them on to you sometimes. The people who email say, get rid of the banner, man. It's dark. It makes it look like a small space. Just get rid of it, dude.
Right.
Well, are you only forwarding the emails that agree with you?
No, those are the... Oh, I see. You think that there are a bunch of people... Clearly, there are a bunch of people who are for keeping it. So, anyway, something has to happen. What do we want to do on acknowledgements, John? Do we do those after the news?
Generally after the news, unless you want to do them now.
Well, I've got a special announcement. I've got a special acknowledgement coming up. And meantime, smash it. It's like a boss.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Hit us with the like button. A simple thumbs up. Thank you for the super stickers. Thank you for the super chats. That's the way you can kind of help us in the moment. But, of course, we have a whole Patreon side. John Watson says, what was it? What did he say? Put it on the side of a van and park it in front of the old KGO station.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you have John do all the drops again, like the day your board was out? That was hilarious. It was
Yes, I can.
hilarious. It was hilarious. And John knows the drops better than I do. He absolutely knows. He hears and knows the drops better than I do. It's wild.
Well, when you're forced to like edit audio for hours and hours upon time, yeah.
It's a tough life.
Yeah. It's never easy in this business.
It's never easy in this business. So we have coming up Gary DIETRICH. We'll talk politics, and we'll get the feel for what's happening. The Georgia runoff has already begun. They started voting this weekend, and also the bizarre dinner that Donald Trump had, and we'll get into some of that as we continue. So smash it like what John the van and the tarp would get stolen off the street.
That's true.
That is
or
true.
peed on by the local homeless.
Kim had that story about that big heist. $178,000 worth of photography equipment in the city near Union Square.
3 minutes.
Although I could see you handing out Mark Thompson tarps to all the homeless people in San Francisco. That would be great, I think.
Hey. It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It would get some coverage. You got to admit that. So, anyway.
There's tents are in all the highly visible areas, so it'd be get some good,
That's what I
advertising
mean.
location.
I'd take a meeting on it. No, all right. Gary next. We'll talk politics. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. That's tax deal. Boy, my voice is giving out.
Poor Kim has that. Kim is she's working hurt. She's got a little cold.
I got the woman cold, not to be confused with the man cold. The White House backing peaceful protests in China. Widespread demonstrations have erupted in major cities against China's zero COVID policy in recent days. In a statement, a White House Security Council spokesperson said everyone has the right to protest in the United States and around the world. Former Trump aide Kellyanne Conway reportedly being questioned by the House committee investigating last year's Capitol riot. According to NBC News, she appeared in person before the committee, accompanied by her attorney. Conway's deposition comes as the panel is set to release a final report on the Capitol attack in the next few weeks. The Buffalo supermarket shooting suspect pleading guilty to state charges in New York. He was accused of killing 10 black people in May in what authorities say was a racially motivated attack. That suspect also facing federal charges. There are 4 people injured after a pickup truck slammed into a restaurant in Sacramento. The fire department said this happened in front of Mel's Diner on Howe Avenue yesterday. All 4 victims had mostly minor injuries. That restaurant shut down for the time being. The royal family coming to the United States, the Prince and Princess of Wales, are making their first trip to the U.S. in 8 years this week. Prince William and Kate Middleton will arrive in Boston Wednesday ahead of the Earthshot Awards ceremony, Earthshot Prize, I should say, award ceremony, and that happens on Friday. And we always love to end the Mark Thompson Show News Network cast with failure. Disney's film Strange World proving to be a flop and estimated to lose $100 million in its theatrical run. Oh,
What?
No. Variety reporting that despite family films typically doing well during the holidays, it drew much smaller audiences than expected in its debut. Strange World brought in less than half of the $40 million that Disney projected over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
I don't know if you can ignore that. That's kind of, I think some
Well, the
people
same
may
thing
have some
happened to the
answer
Mark
that.
Thompson Thanksgiving Day special.
Is that what happened?
No.
I wouldn't call that a failure. I think
That was
we
actually a
brought
record day for us.
Yeah, we did well
that was
on
a
that.
weird. It was a weird thing. Our viewership live was down because so many people were doing other things. But those who were here were so generous. It was an amazing thing. So how dare you, John, even mention that?
How dare you?
Yeah, my gosh.
Really?
I mean, really. Yeah.
Who is having that conversation?
Thank you, Oprah. That's right. I don't know.
Sorry, Mark. I
John's
meant
having it.
you're doing a great job.
that better, much better.
Do you know who I am?
Okay, let's. Sorry,
The
Kim.
news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, he has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes and right about now, You need help with your taxes. You can call Steve, 888-TAX-DEAL. He's online as well, MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Well, greetings of the season to you all. It is Cyber Monday. Andreas is so generous. Andreas, and I think it's Masuras. I'm going to say it's Masuras. Andreas, Mark, happy holidays. Set up a Christmas function for the holidays with Nikki. That's a great idea, actually. We should do some kind of joint, maybe sort of joint like broadcast for Christmas.
Wait, a joint broadcast?
Yeah, where no, not that kind of joint.
Because Nikki would have been down.
Andreas, everybody's a pothead around here. I can't get anything done. It's a remarkable thing that we can get this show done every day.
But like a holiday party, you know.
Yes, that's what he's suggesting. And Andreas,
so alcohol. Like you're willing to bet your lunch?
That some alcohol's involved. Yes, Andreas is a great supporter. And let me just say, I watch Nikki's show too. Andreas is a big supporter of Nikki's show also. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a big Dan Ashley shout out. And no, the shout out, dude. The big Dan Ashley.
Big shout out.
Thank you very much. I'm also going to give you a...
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andreas. This is for Andreas.
Thank you very much.
Will Smith, thank you. I'm going to give you a thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. And an additional...
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Andreas, you're a great supporter. I so appreciate it. And that's not a bad idea. So I'll get with Nikki and see if we can't get that organized.
It's a wild idea.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work. We have the huge merch drop going on right now. Again, the promo code is Iron Rod. If you are going to the merch site, grab that 15% discount today at checkout. Iron Rod. There's a bunch of new merch stuff, so I think you'll get a kick out of it. And some of the stuff is really just like stocking stuffer things, and you'll really enjoy it. So check it out, Iron Rod. Meantime, do smash the like button, thumbs up with your Iron Rod.
With your Iron Rod.
Now, how about a Mark Thompson Show welcome for the man when it comes to politics, longtime political analyst, and so delighted he's followed us over here to this platform. Gary DIETRICH, everybody.
Yeah.
Gary, how you, my friend?
Good morning, Mark.
Great. And good morning, sir.
Before we get to any of the particulars in the political arena, hey, guess what I have? Well,
I love
it. Mark Thompson Show official merch, people.
Yeah.
Come on.
I love it. I love it.
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah.
There was a swarm at the mailbox, people fighting over the box, but I prevailed and now.
Nobody
threw a couple punches and you came away with the prize.
Yes, this is something like nobody.
I am living proof, people. Get your MT Show merch. That's it.
Oh, it's great.
I have never heard of something like that.
Yeah.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
It is true. It's pretty special. There's nothing in our history.
A real camera. Okay, we're ready to go.
We are ready to go. Well, it's great to have you here, Gary. And now with Mark Thompson Show mug in hand, you're set up for the season. Look, I mentioned the Georgia runoff has already begun. I'm looking at polling, but when I look at polling, it's a little different than when you look at polling. You really know how to look at polling. It seems that Warnock, among independent voters, he really had an edge. Now, if they show up to the polls, that seems as though it would be something that would swing this runoff to Warnock.
Well, the biggest and most important thing you just said there, Mark, was if. Okay, because this is, remember, the key right now about this election, and remind everybody what we're doing here. We're talking about the U.S. Senate race in Georgia. Democrats currently have 50 seats in the U.S. Senate, Republicans 49. I want to get to the context of this because it's really important. So this is going to, this is significant, and we'll talk about why in a moment. But the big if is this is a special election, okay? And it falls between Thanksgiving and Christmas when people come on, after 2022, the last people want to be thinking about is voting again, right? Especially because these people went through special elections after the 2020 presidential race. So the big challenge right now, Mark, is basically what you intimated. Who can get people to the polls? Now, the big key in this for Walker, what they're counting on, is that the Republican that won the governorship of Georgia quite handily, remember, and he was hated by Trump, remember, due to the events of 2020. He has, as they say in the business, lent, quote unquote, his hugely successful ground operation, his vote turnout machine, to the Walker campaign, because Republicans see this seat as absolutely critical to them retaking control of the Senate in 2024. So that could tip the scales, even though polls right now are probably still showing Warnock with a slight lead. The turnout is really what's going to be key on this election day and coming up here next week.
Yeah, you make a really good point that I hadn't considered. That's why it's so great to talk to Gary DIETRICH, and that is the push that Republicans are making. That's a legit push. Now, I get the national profile. I see on Sean Hannity, you've got Ted Cruz on one side, you've got Lindsey Graham on the other. Lindsey Graham is he's like a dinner theater performer. I mean, man, he sells those moments, doesn't he? He's like on the verge of tears all the way. You got to look at this is a man of color, and he's a Republican, and they want to take him out. You know, he makes it sound like it's a civil rights responsibility for us to vote for Herschel Walker. You know.
Well, and the thing about it is, let's give people some really exceptionally important context right now. There's a major, humongous difference between 50 in the Senate and 59. Ask me, geez,
say it again. There's a humongous difference between 50 in the Senate. You dropped out for a second. Go ahead.
They're going to be able to have Kamala Harris, right?
Democrat. Why is he dropping out now like
this? The bottom line is this.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you have 51 versus, I don't know why I'm dropping out either, by the way, but we'll blame that on one.
But just repeat that last chunk. There's enormous difference between 50 and 51, you were saying?
Yeah. There's a huge difference, Mark, between 50-50 in the U.S. Senate and 51-49, and it all boils down to this. Remember when it was 50-50, this kind of got lost in the 2020 gobbledygook. But when you have an even split in the Senate, it means that the Democrats and Republicans literally had to sit down on the table and put together a so-called power sharing agreement. Because if you don't have a majority, you don't get to call all the shots in terms of rules of the House, in terms of chairmanships and vice chairmanships, all this kind of stuff. So that's why Democrats very much want to get this seat. And Republicans for the same reason. And one more, because in 2024, there are some very vulnerable Democratic senators starting that list with Manchin in Virginia, Sinema in Arizona, and a whole host of others where Republicans have done very well in their states. So Democrats are already quite nervous about being able to hang on to the Senate in 2024.
That's great. Looking ahead, that didn't even occur to me. That's what's going on in Georgia. Tell me how important this stuff is that, the former President Trump down in Mar-a-Lago, he's got, this dinner going with, with Kanye West and with this dude who is, Nick Fuentes, who's this white supremacist. I mean, high-profile white supremacist. By the way, here's something that's wild, because we talk about, he's a high-profile white supremacist. How old does everybody think Nick Fuentes is? Okay, so Trump had dinner with Kanye, now Ye, and this guy Nick Fuentes, who's this high-profile white supremacist, as I say. How old do you in the chat think that Nick Fuentes is? And then I'm going to ask Gary how important this stuff is. But he was Trump hosted this dinner for them, and go ahead.
Yeah, well, here's a couple things out of this, Mark. Number one. There was reportedly a not so quiet leak out of the Trump camp where they said two things. One, they said one of his own people said, this is a big quote unquote effing problem, unquote. Okay. They know that this does not play well. Secondly, apparently Trump thought it was going to be just YE himself, that it was not going to be his posse with him or his associates or whatever you want to call these, apparently 3 guys that showed up with Kanye. And, that's a problem because, Trump clearly held this meeting with Kanye for one reason. And that reason is because, as you well know, Kanye is now talking about putting his own name out there again to run in 2024. Why is that a problem? Because his supporters presumably would be Trump voters, and he does not want to dilute that. So this was going to be, I think, an arm twisting, scenario for Trump with Kanye. And then did you hear this, Mark? This to me is the top of the entire deal. Serious or not, and apparently it was semi-serious. Kanye asked Trump, would you be my VP in 24?
I mean, it makes a joke of all of this, but I thought Trump himself was a joke of that was made of the process. I mean, people who essentially have never administered anything, they've not been, they haven't been on a school board, much less actually administer something as unwieldy as the White House or a campaign. I mean, by the way, he's 24, Nick Fuentes. So I was making that point because he's so young, and yet he's an out-and-out Nazi, as someone's saying on the chat. I also want to go back because, as you say, they said, his people, Trump's people, said, look, he didn't know that guy was going to be there at dinner. Dude, it's his dinner, okay? He's hosting it. He can say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't, have you at the dinner, but I look forward to being in touch, or whatever you say. You can dismiss the guy. The fact that he sat down with a guy who's a, high-profile anti-Semite / Nazi, white supremacist, whatever you want, along with Kanye, it's a stink that Trump seems to be stepping into a lot these days, Gary. And I don't know. I know his base is immovable, but at some point, and this is the thing that I think is lacking so far, you'd think you'd get GOP bite back on this. There hasn't been a lot of GOP bite back on Trump and some of these high-profile stink fests like the one at Mar-a-Lago.
Well, there has been some, but I think your point, Mark, is well taken. And here's my general premise right now about Trump, the Republican Party, and 2024. Basically, it's like DeSantis, who's become the master at this. You just ignore him. I mean, that seems to be the DeSantis strategy is, oh, well, that's Donald. Okay, next question. And they just move on. And I really think that for a large portion of the GOP, they know that if they get down in the mud, or if they even start raising a lot of questions, you're going to get major league, Twitter blasts. You're going to have all kinds of things that you don't need to be distractions right now. They want to get things rolling in the House. They want to get ready for 2024. And it's just like, ignore it. I mean, that's Trump's problem. Oh, well, that's Donald Trump. But the real critical constituency here is not the GOP. It's independent voters. And presumably some of those Republicans that may still be on the fence, can I put up with Donald as a 24 nominee or not? Those are the people that this is going to be a problem with.
That's kind of what I was saying about independence, but that's interesting. I actually suppose that makes sense. If you want to ignore Trump into irrelevance, that might be the strategy that actually makes the most sense, as opposed to, as you say, reacting more headlines, et cetera. So in a way, that's a sound plan, In the lame duck session, which is just, we're in the middle of now, where essentially the Democrats are going to be out, Republicans will be in the House, so your last dash scramble to pass things. The Electoral Count Act, which we have spoken of before, maybe we can remind people what it is, and what other business? I know there's same-sex marriage they're trying to punch through, at least those are, and there's really a limited time. What can they get done? What can't they get done? And what seem to be their priorities?
Well, you mentioned the two top ones, Mark. They also have a funding bill that they need to get through. That's probably going to happen, I would guess. But those other two, almost certain not going to happen. Why? Because you have to get them through the Senate. You got to have 60 votes, right, in order to avoid filibuster. And those are apparently on either of those measures, and others are not there. And the last piece of it is obviously just simple politics. Democrats have done this in the past as well. You don't want to hand people victories when they're going out the door of power, right? I mean, Democrats will still be in control of the Senate, but they're not going to be in control of the Congress. And so you want a seat at the table. And you're saying, well, first of all, let's get this whole number thing decided. Let's wait till December 6th, see what happens in Georgia. And by the way, those votes aren't going to all be counted on the night of December 6th. We've all learned that, right? So by the time that race even gets decided, this special session, this lame duck session, is going to be over. So I really think those things are going to get pushed into the next Congress. And of course, that's going to mean some real horse trading because you're going to have a Republican-controlled House.
So those things are going to be pushed. You think literally none of that stuff's going to get through?
Well, you know, this voting act, it's already been clear. Apparently out of Washington, they don't have 60 votes to do that. You know, when it comes to same-sex marriage thing. Now that is interesting because there have been a number of Republican U.S. senators who started coming out saying they will support that. So if there's one of the big sort of agenda items sitting out there that Democrats would like to shove through that has a chance, that may be the one.
It's wild. The Electoral Count Act is simply making that whole dance that they did around the vice president certifying the election results, making it clearly, explicitly, this is something that we all knew or presumed it already was, but it has to be explicitly now made ceremonial. The idea that that can't get through because there are not enough votes. What does that say about GOP votes in the Senate? I mean, are you saying essentially that it has to be politics then? It goes back to what you're saying, which is I just don't want to give them any victory at all. I get it. That's a good piece of legislation, but I don't want to get my fingerprints on helping Democrats.
Well, to be fair, there's Republican concerns about the legislation. You headlined sort of a marquee piece of it, but that's not all that's in there. And keep in mind, the Republicans sort of have their own wish list for elections. They clearly, believe it's important. And this is the difference right now. They believe it's important to have photo IDs when people go, that, some demonstrative way to who are you? They don't want ballot harvesting, as they call it, the collection of ballots and then somebody else can turn those in. I mean, there's big differences right now, and trying to craft a, comprehensive piece of election reform legislation, that's the big challenge.
I see. That's great. This is why I love talking to you, because you're right. The devilish details I wasn't fully aware of. Find Gary Dietrich on Twitter, still there for now, at Gary Dietrich. You can find him here regularly on Mondays. We kind of unpack what's happened over the weekend, Donald Trump dinners, runoff elections, all that stuff. And now you can see him in his off time with a Mark Thompson Show mug, everybody. It's very...
There it is, people.
Yeah.
There it is.
Very special. That's right. Gary, we love you. Thanks, pal. All right.
Have
Gary
a great
Dietrich.
Mark.
Yeah, love it. Happy holidays. You got it. Wow. Pretty cool.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I've got time for some shout-outs and to remind you some of what's going on. Andreas Masuras. Wow, again. I got to tell you, I give you a big Dan Ashley shout-out.
Big shout-out.
But your support, which has been ongoing, I don't want you to think like I haven't forgotten all of the donations you've made on this show in the past. And honestly, I'm not gonna, but I am close. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not, but I'm saying I'm close. I'm not gonna cry.
I see the tears.
Andreas, you are pushing me to the brink of tears.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm gonna give you a
thank you so much.
A British thank you so much. I'm also going to give you a
thank you so much.
Another female thank you so much. I'm going to give you a
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
And then I'm going to give you
thank you so
and
much.
then,
thank you very much.
The Will Smith, thank you so much. And I really appreciate it, pal. Andreas, you really are the real thing. I know you support Nikki as well. I've seen your name on her show, and it's so cool that you support us in this effort. I really do appreciate it. He deserves a free shirt, somebody says. Yvonne says, I'll cry for you, Andreas. Amazing. Yeah?
Why don't you just text it?
You can text into the chat. John Slade said, oh, go on and cry. It's good to get it all out. There's some weeks I just feel like I'd like to go somewhere and just burst into tears. You know what I mean? Just do that for 40 minutes. What do they charge for that? Isn't that is that a therapy?
There's
thing
an
you
app
could
for
do?
that, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's.
But it's only Monday. Come on.
Yeah, it is true. Only Monday.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
A safe place to cry.
What is Herschel's horrible holiday? Oh, what Herschel's horrible holiday is what I asked Gary DIETRICH about, which is that in polling, he is falling behind. And among independents, he's falling behind. And Gary was making the point, yeah, but they got to show up. And they are perhaps election weary. And then Gary also made the point that the GOP is making such a big push in Georgia to get the vote out that don't go by those polls. Sure, that's a depressing poll number if you look at it. Literally 53% of independents are going for Warnock in the poll. And, Herschel Walker can't even, I don't think, crack 40%. But
sounds like
that
a really
is just
bad
a poll.
seasonal movie. Herschel's Horrible Holiday.
Yeah, Herschel's horrible. It does. Yeah, that's something maybe Lino would do.
Oh, and then he has to kill a vampire.
Right. Well, if you're kill a vampire, you need a werewolf to do that.
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
Yeah, you gotta have a werewolf if you want a vampire.
A werewolf can kill a vampire.
But that's the movie. Like, he needs to find the werewolf.
Oh, that's right. He needs to find the werewolf in order to save his family.
Yeah,
that's right. Wow.
They're looking at just social media.
That might be the way to find them. Look at their social media. I mean, they're on social media too. Herschel's got a lot of potential, but not as a legislator, I would say. He has potential in other ways, maybe. He could be like a Lyft driver, drive people to various Planned Parenthood locations. I mean, his utter bankruptcy when it comes to moral stands he's taken, it's just crazy. But as I told you, last thing on Herschel Walker, I watched the debate between Warnock and Walker. And perhaps because the bar of expectation was so low on Walker, I expected him to just trip over himself and say stuff like, vampires and werewolves or whatever. He stayed on point, and he wasn't as bad as I thought he would be. As I say, I wasn't expecting, Frederick Douglass. I wasn't expecting some orator who, is just going to set the world on fire. But he wasn't awful. And I thought Warnock
that's
really
a high
went
bar there.
How did I do? Well, you weren't awful. So anyway, but that was Herschel's horror, is the polling shows him way behind. But Gary made the point. The polling it doesn't relate to who's actually voting. So as we do on this show, we like to promote Nikki and Kim, please, if you would.
Yes, at noon, Nikki will be on, and she will be talking about. We're
I don't know why.
I
keep clicking it. Okay, go ahead.
I keep clicking it. You're clicking it. I'm clicking it. I'm undoing what you're doing. So Nikki is talking about travel. Yesterday, a lot of flights were canceled. Traffic was horrifying. There is a lawsuit over macaroni and cheese, and Governor Gavin Newsom, will he run in 2024? Would he actually challenge President? I don't think so. Well, Nikki will talk about that.
Who's running? Newsom? Is that what you're talking about?
No. Will he? She's asking the question. Will he?
Okay, will he?
I don't think he will, but she'll talk about it. And Trump called out by Ben Shapiro. And also, how much would you pay to see some damn Christmas lights? I might pay a little bit if it was a cool display. We'll talk about it.
How much would you pay to see some Christmas lights?
How much will, usually you drive around, it's free, you take in the sights.
I see.
But would you pay to go see Christmas lights?
Oh, I get it. Okay, good. Well, that's good. She's got
Nikki
some good
on
stuff.
From noon to 2 on YouTube, right after the Mark Thompson show. You can find the link at thenikkimadoroshow.com.
Yeah, very, very cool. And Kim is on that show as well. Kim's all over the place. I would encourage you to go to the Get Mark merch site. Do we post that, please, John? Can we get the Get Mark merch site up there? It's getmarkmerch.com. This is Cyber Monday, and you should throw in the discount code at checkout, Iron Rod.
All one
word. Smash it with your iron rod.
Well, don't smash it, but you want to smash this. At checkout at getmarkmerch.com, you just want to enter Iron Rod.
Smash it with your iron rod.
And Iron Rod will get you 15% off for this Cyber Monday. There are a lot of new things, a lot of fun. I hope you'll check it out. And I do think that the things that you'll find on the merch site are so varied, so fun, not necessarily expensive, and all the money normally we direct it to animal rescue, but because we're trying to get things up and pay for stuff that we need and all this kind of thing as we get this effort moving forward, all the money will stay here with the show to keep us going, at least for this, this first few months, so we can really get the machine of the show working. GetMarkMerch.com. John, do I have anything else that I need to do?
Do you want to revisit the poll?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Where is the
How
poll?
long How long is the poll open?
I think we're going to keep it going through tomorrow.
Okay.
Is that good, John, to keep it going through tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't
Maybe
know if
Tony
we
knows,
can.
but
I think
it's
it's going to end at the show today. We might be able to do another one tomorrow. We can use today's results and combine it with tomorrow, maybe?
Oh, okay. Good. Let's do that. We'll use today's results.
We'll put all our efforts and resources into this poll. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the first day of the poll. We'll do another day tomorrow. We'll put together the results and we'll make a determination as to what to do with the banner. I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's not quite big enough.
Will you accept the results of the poll?
If I may have to contest them in the courts, the results of the poll. It's not.
What if there's no widespread, evidence of fraud?
Well, that's the best time.
What?
That's the best time to contest them in the courts if there's no widespread evidence.
You're down to 5%.
How dare
battery.
you, Nick? How dare you say we're down to 5% battery as we wind down? All right, here's what's going on. Do you want to update the results of the poll, John?
Sure.
Please?
465 votes right now. Keep it. It's still in the lead at 45%. Auction it off, 24%. Move it off a little, off to the side, 21%. And bury it in a quiet ceremony, 10%.
Okay, we'll post that in a graphic tomorrow, the final results. But
I will say, someone said it in chat earlier, made me laugh, someone said essentially if you add it up, though, it's 45% keep it, 55 get rid of it. if you keep the other three options.
Oh, that's right. If you add the other three together, that's right. Wow. Oh, let's take a meeting on that.
This is not ranked choice, people. No.
Yeah, this is not San Francisco.
Oh, that's so great. But it is funny that really is true. Most people want to get rid of it. So, all right, everyone. Thank you. I do want to mention you should smash the like button. We need that like button. Yes. We need the like button to be smashed in order to...
Well, moving it off a little off camera is not getting rid of it.
You moving it off camera what, John?
Moving it a little to the side is not getting rid of it, so...
That's true. That's true. So you're saying technically that's not getting rid of it.
Yeah, I'm just deflating that whole argument.
I see. Wow. Who knew this would be as controversial as apparently it is? I really.
And this is their new hoax.
Well, there seems to be the hoax-like qualities to it. I didn't realize that, but smash that like button like a boss. Thank you for all the ways you support this show. We do appreciate you so much. Go over to Nikki's show and enjoy that. We'll be back tomorrow with fresh show. By the way, David K. Johnston returns to the show a week from tomorrow. The Pulitzer Prize winner will jump on with us. So we're looking forward to David's return from vacation. Until tomorrow, thanks, everyone. Get to the merch site.
Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.